Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited because it's snowing. We have snow. It's started out as a bit of sleet and now it's just full-blown heavy snow going on. We've had rain all yesterday and during the night, so it's not settling at the moment, but oh my god, it is just heavy snow. It's brilliant. I love it. It's freezing cold, but oh, it's so cool. And my daughter's at her dad's, so I've sent her a video saying we've got snow. I don't know whether you have, but I just got a message to say that they're on their way back home and the weather is just as bad over there, so I know for well she's gonna be really excited. But yeah, on top of that, it's also my monthly wrap up for January, since it's the end of January. Look at this snow! It is absolutely going down so heavy. So I don't know about you guys, but I felt like January has a drag. I felt like January was an infinity month. It just kept going on and on and on. So I'm glad to see the back of this month. I am, for many reasons, but the big part of the reason is from next month onwards I won't be doing that many tours anymore. I've got a couple for February and I have one for March that just sounded too cool to miss, but I literally have stopped now. I just want to focus on reading my own books because I have so many. So this month I have read 19 books. Now I'm going to see if I can actually show you all of the books without it drastically falling on the floor. Yeah, can you see? Yeah, 19 books. Obviously not all of them, there's not 19 there. I have got some on my Kindle, but yeah, I've read a few. It's been a good month. I'm gonna start with the books that were for book tours, as I can get them out of the way. Sorry, I'm just sorting them all out. So right, done. So I'll do the Kindle one first. First one I read is Priceless. That I gave 4 stars. It's a non-fiction book. It basically, the author focuses on her children. She obviously says about like her relationship of her children, how some of it's brilliant, some of it isn't. It's a self-help parental book, but it's not like your most self-helps you get. So you get quite a lot of self-help books which are sort of like what to do if your child's having a tantrum in the middle of a supermarket. It wasn't that. It was more like a letters to my children. So it was sort of like her saying to her children, like, wear your heart on the sleeve, but don't go all in loving someone straight away. It was just sort of like her life affirmations to her children, and I really liked it. It was just sort of a different way of doing it, and it also had quotes. So every paragraph she wrote about, whether it was about money or love or about being your true self, stuff like that, there was always quotes from someone. So there were quotes from Barack and Michelle Obama, there were quotes from Martin Luther King Jr., there was loads, Janet Jackson. It was actually, I loved the quotes. It was really good and it tied in with the book. It was a surprising good book. It was really easy. You can fling in and out of it quite quickly as well. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good little self-help book, and it wasn't your typical parental self-help book that you get out there, which makes it different. Next is A Twist of Karma. That is with Blackthorn Tools. All of the rest of the books are from Love Book Tools, but obviously if it's a different tool I'll mention it. But this was with Blackthorn Tools. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was okay. It was basically about a woman grieving because she had lost her daughter in a tragic accident, and she kept blaming herself, and she literally felt like it was her fault. She couldn't look after her daughter properly, all of that. And so she ends up going on a yoga meditation retreat in Sri Lanka, and so she then starts doing that, and she also starts getting quite interested in the Buddhism religion. So that was interesting, but I felt it was too much of that. Like, obviously this was on my Kindle, so 30% of this book was all about yoga, meditation and Buddhism, and I was like, where is the actual main plot going? Because we're like, a quarter into this book now and nothing is really going on. It did start picking up. She then went back to her hometown, San Francisco, and as she came back she was starting to feel a bit better in herself. She was a bit more confident, she wasn't so depressed. But as she came back she started getting haunting stuff, so she kept seeing her daughter's ghost, and her daughter kept saying this person's trying to hurt her. So she was trying to properly save her daughter this time around because she couldn't do it the first time around. And then on top of there was this serial killer on the loose in San Francisco. So there was a lot going on by the time we got halfway through this book. Unfortunately, for me, it felt a bit bland. I wanted more in the haunting side of things, because given that Blackthorn Tools is quite a dark fiction book, I was quite shocked at how timid this book was. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some books that they've written that are quite hard and I've been a bit, oh no, but I was expecting more in this book and I didn't get it. The haunting was very timid, it wasn't scary at all. Like, I was reading this at like 1-2 o'clock at night and I wasn't getting at all spooked. And then the serial killer part, like, there wasn't much of that, but then I kind of can understand, because the serial killing part was actually part of this haunting, so it was sort of all tied in together. But I wanted more, and considering what Blackthorn Tools do, I didn't get much of it, which was surprising. So I gave that 3.5 stars. It had potential, I just wish it could have delivered more. Then I read The Expansion Recon. I gave that 3 stars. That was with Love Book Tools. The rest are with Love Book Tools. So I gave it 3 stars. I personally actually will give it 2 stars, but with Tools the lowest you can do is 3, so I put it as 3, but for me personally it's actually 2 stars. It's a sci-fi military action-packed book, but it was too much military, and the dialogue of it was very military based and I didn't understand it. There was like, I kind of wish there was like a key points bit at the back, so it explained what like certain certain dialogues, what that meant, what the ranks meant, and like sort of what the armory and like the guns and all that all meant. Like, just dumbed it down for us, because if you're not used to that, it just becomes a bit like and I just got confused a lot. I got confused a lot with a lot of the military dialogue, and obviously there was a lot of it. And the sci-fi parts, I haven't read that much sci-fi, so I think that kind of made it difficult. But it's just, it was obviously about aliens, it was obviously about like different colonies in space, and like trying to you know, help save humankind and stuff like that. Obviously there was aliens involved. Just for me, it was confusing, and because it was confusing, I didn't understand it, I couldn't enjoy the book. I think if I understood it, if I had read more sci-fi and a bit more military side of things, I probably would have enjoyed it. And I do think a lot of people will enjoy this book. I think if that's your kind of books, then this will be perfect with you. It was extremely fast-paced, I can't fault that, and the world building was epic as well. It was so descriptive, you did imagine that you were there. Just, it was too confusing for me to the point that I just couldn't understand it. So I read it, but I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest. Unfortunately, it was a bit disappointing, but hey ho, that is just me. It's just because I haven't read much of it, it just went like that. Next is Keep Walking Rona Beach. Again, I gave that 3 stars. Personally, I would give it maybe 1 or 2. I did not like the book at all. Basically, it follows this woman. She's just had a 10-year relationship end, so she's obviously going through all of that. She's like down in the dumps, upset. She's like lost all of her confidence and her mojo, and on top of that she has a health scare, and so she goes and gets checked up. She thought, like at the start, I think they thought maybe she might have had cervical cancer, but it wasn't cancer, it was just more, there was stuff going on there, but she had to keep an eye on it and have these medications to make sure it doesn't turn into cancer. I didn't like it. I didn't vibe with any, like with her character and other characters sort of like involved in the book. Like, I understand how upsetting an end of a relationship is. I have been there myself, and don't get me wrong, I have moped myself too. But for me, that was the like sole focus of the book, and it annoyed me a bit because I thought she's just had this health scare. It's like a complete life-changing moment for her, and she wasn't bothered by it at all, to the point that she really had a blasé I don't care about it, when potentially if she didn't do anything about it, she could actually get very, very, very unwell, and then, you know, potentially be so untreatable that she could lose her life. And it was just annoying that she wasn't focused on that she didn't care. And it was just kind of, for me, it was just like, don't, you know, you've got something else to focus on, concentrate on that. And it was just a really, like, she was just moping a lot, and I was not in the mood for it. I think because of what is going on with life at the moment, we're in a pandemic, we're all in lockdowns, I'm shielding. I think just me personally, I was like, ugh, this is not my kind of book right now. There is like so much worse in the world than a breakup when this man sounded like a dick anyway. I didn't vibe with the characters. I didn't particularly like the plot. I just thought, really, there was just nothing going on, and I was just getting really irritated about it. There was one bit about this book that I did like though, and it was this quote, which I'm going to read out because I did write it down. It says, "It's because you hate being alone that you're not ready for a relationship." Now, I actually really like that quote, and it actually really resonated with me personally, as there have been times when mentally I've not been brilliant, and I felt so alone that I kind of go into relationships just for that, so I'm not lonely. And in hindsight, those relationships have been very toxic and horrible, and it serves me right, really. But so it was a really good quote, and it was sort of that was sort of a bit of the message throughout the book, and it did resonate with me, and I did enjoy that part. I thought, yes, that's needed, like, yes. But in hindsight, the book just was a complete flop for me. I just couldn't vibe with it. I'm sorry, I just really didn't. Next is another book tour with Blackthorn Tours. This is The Haunting of Gallagher Hotel. Sorry, I had to double check. It's called Haunting of Gallagher Hotel. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. It was basically these 2 characters get invited to this hotel that has been haunted for like hundreds of years. So the beginning of the book, it tells you of, it's like a prologue of why this hotel is haunted. And then obviously these two characters go into the hotel. There's other characters that have been invited too. They all get invited for this nice lovely dinner party, but in fact it's actually the devil's work, picking off all of these vile people and bringing them to hell. I don't want to spoil it because I really recommend everyone to read this book, especially if you're a horror supernatural fan. Now I'm not, like, I am slowly getting into my horror because I do quite like the horror thriller side of things, as long as it's not like too creepy. Like, I must admit, I read this book and I could read it during the night. I didn't get creeped out, which I quite like. I like ones that are creepy, but they don't creep me out to the point that I am so scared to go to sleep. But this book was fast-paced, it was action-packed, it had absolutely every bit of haunting I wanted to, from like demons to like violent deaths to ghosts. Oh, it was brilliant. And the two main characters, both of them are so different. So one of them has a normal life. She's not done anything wrong in her life that results her needing to go to hell. But this particular demon wanted her because basically if you have a good soul, it like regenerates them and they have like a few more youthful years in their like veil they're in. Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but it was an absolute epic book. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and it's one that I am going to keep on my Kindle and probably read again for Halloween. It was just the right kind of supernatural, haunting creepiness, plus like a sort of thriller bit in it. It was enough for me when it's quite a new genre. I really enjoyed it. It was on top end of one of the best books I read for this month. And then we're gonna go into, oh no, one more that's on my Kindle, so I've just noticed, Hunting Hidden Shadows. I just finished it this morning. It is about vampires, demons, werewolves, all of that. It's sort of like a politics type of thing, and it's like these two demons working together. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed the plot and I enjoyed sort of what the story was about. The only issue I had was basically every time a demon dies, they get reborn in 10 years time. And that's understandable, that's fine. However, in the book, they never actually explained when it got to 10 years. So it was sort of talking and then it reached the 10 years. And it really confused me because I thought, oh, I just assumed it was like just that particular day, not actually a few months or like the whole of 10 years in like one chapter. So I kind of felt it needed some sort of clarification in there, because I literally went and I went, oh, it's 10 years. And I thought, oh, and I felt like I had jumped a page and missed something, but hadn't. That's the only issue I had with it. Other than that, it was quite interesting. I liked the banter and humour between the two main characters. I obviously am a big fan of the supernatural kind of things. I like vampires and demons and werewolves and all of that. There was magic involved as well. So I did enjoy it. It was just, there were parts where I just got confused and I felt like a big chunk of the book was missing. So then we're going on to still book tours, but physical ones. So I read Morgan Le Fay, Giants in the Earth. This is book 3. It's the end of the trilogy, I think. I'm not sure whether there's more. I gave it 3 stars. I could go on why I don't particularly like this series, but the simple part is the main character of this book is 5 years old. Now, the author has explained to us why it's like it's olden days. Children at that age was very educated and were left to do a lot for themselves. I understand that, but for me it was just really hard to get over that these characters were 5 or 6, the youngest was 3. I just couldn't get past it. You know, my daughter is 5 and I was like, there's no way she would do any of this stuff. It it felt a bit far-fetched. It felt a little bit like a bit silly. I understand why, just to me it felt silly. I just felt making them a bit older, because that's what most of us readers were really putting in their heads, that she was a lot older than she actually is in the book. Good points about this book. I really do like the magic side of things. When it talks all about magic and all the different creatures, I loved it. The world building in it was brilliant. But I did feel that for how chunky this book is, I think a lot of it could have been cut back. There was like a lot of politics side of things still going on. It just felt like Morgan's always getting in sort of trouble, and it's just like the world just wants to get at her. I didn't personally enjoy them. I felt they dragged a bit. There was a very slow paced, in my opinion, and I'm more of a fast paced reader. But I have noticed a lot of people really did like this series, so I would say give them a try. You probably may like them, but me, I just didn't. I then read The Lost Truth of April Dark. I gave this 3 stars. I really had high hopes for this book, and I didn't get the high hopes. So basically, April has this really life-threatening, unknown illness that they can't find any cure, because they particularly don't know what it is that they're fighting against. She dies, and then she's transported into like a different dystopian world where people have magic and all of these things. Now, I had high hopes for it, but I kind of felt what the book was about wasn't really in the book. Like, the synopsis for this book, I'm not going to read it because this is so long, but the synopsis of this book to me wasn't actually in the story. Like, the plot wasn't that at all. But I did like April as a character. She was very strong and coped with all of this stuff that's been thrown to her. She was very good, considering she knew she probably had died in her old world and was in a different world. It was interesting. There were some good bits. I loved some of the characters that are in there, which I've forgotten their names, but there was some characters that there's like a trio that she went with to go and find a certain person to get her answers, and their banter and everything was really good. I just felt, considering this was all about magic and it was sort of fantasy, I didn't get much of that. I didn't get very much magic side of things, and I didn't get very much fantasy things. It was more like a war, and it was more politics, in my opinion. I'm then going to do these 2 together because they are a duo, soon to be trio. So Spirits of Vengeance, The Stone of Spirits, and then Spirits of Vengeance, The Assassin of Aranek. I love these books. This was 5 stars times affinity. I'm halfway through this book, but it is just as epic, and I know this is going to be 5 stars because I loved it. The author is absolutely amazing. Andrew is just an amazing guy. He will literally, if you've got stuff to say to him about these books, he will answer to you. Like, I've had many conversations with this bloke, and he's been fab. He's so friendly. I did a book talk of me reading this, and it got to some big cliffhangers. I was like, oh, and he actually duetted my video onto his TikTok. It was brilliant. My mind was blown. But honestly, I don't want to go into these books because I know I will spoil them, but read them. They are epic. They are high fantasy. They have everything you want in a fantasy in these books. I can't wait to finish this. I'm going to binge read this after I've finished filming this video. But they're 5 stars times a million, and these are my favourite books of this month. Also, The Mirror Souls, 5 stars, loved it. It was sort of a starter of sci-fi and dystopian. Now, I love dystopian fiction. It's a genre that I need to read more of, to be honest, because I do love it. But this had both those bits in, but it wasn't too boring, in your face, and stuff that you didn't understand. So it basically is about, so it's Mirror Souls. It's about, oh, it's really hard to not give you spoilers. So it's about Alana. She finds out that where she's living in the Avalon, that is run by all like the giant race trying to like save Earth. And long story cut short, there is a lot of politics going on. There's a lot of lies going on. It turns out Alana's not who she actually thought she is. She meets a guy and they learn that they're mirror souls, so they are soulmates in other words, but when they're together they radiate this massive big energy to the point that everyone is hunting for them. So they have met, they love each other, they want to spend all the time with each other, but they've now been told they can't because they are radiating too much energy and they need to control that energy because they're going to save the world. It's epic. It ended in a cliffhanger. I have got book 2 on my Kindle. I know book 3 is being done, so I'm trying not to read book 2 yet because I know it's going to end on another cliffhanger and I won't have the third book to read it. But I recommend it. I really think this is a good starter for both sci-fi and dystopian books because it's not too in your face, drabbing, boring. It's epic and I love the cover. And I also got the artwork. So that's Alana. Isn't she beautiful? That is her mirror soul. I can't remember his name now. Hang on. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? I can't remember his name. But that's the bloke who is her mirror soul. And then this is another character who is like, he's got purple eyes. He's this different race, which turns out that Alana's with. But I was kindly gifted this with the book. I love it. The River Reflects. This is 3 stars. I just finished it last night. Average book. I didn't feel it really had any wow factor to me. In all fact, I was quite bored of it. I need to put my review up of this. I have to do that in a bit. It was average. I haven't really got much to say with it because of that. It's just there wasn't a lot really going on for me personally. Then we got The Fire Children. This is a middle grade book. I would say it's between 9 to 14 years old. It's about Benji and Flo who live in a black and white world and they find a secret tunnel in their favourite tree trunk, and then they learn that they are fire children and that they are children of the Fire Prince, and that they actually have a big task to try and get this shadow man to stop bringing black and white to the world. And so they go on like an adventure quest to save the world and bring back colour. It's really good for a little quick 100 pages book. It was fast paced. The world building was brilliant and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this. It was, considering it was for kids, I enjoyed it as a 30-year-old, and I love the hidden message in this book, which is pretty much is never let anything dull your sparkle. You know, always if things look dark and bleak, there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. That's what this message was sort of slyly put in this book, which I think for children is a perfect message for them to have. Then I have Serial Killers at the Movies, which is Bookscape Books book club. I finished this yesterday. It's a non-fiction book. It's basically about like the horror thriller movies that we very well know and possibly have watched, and who the serial killers actually really are based on. So you have Silence of the Lambs, the Amityville Horror, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So all these things. It was interesting. I was actually surprised at who some of the serial killers are from these movies, because like with Hannibal, his character is absolutely like, he's a psychopath. He's just like, whoa. But actually the real serial killer that was based on this franchise was nothing like that. So it's quite amazing to learn all of that. I'm amazed at how many Amityville horror movies there are. I counted them, there are 22. I hate the movie. I cowered behind the couch with a pillow over my face. That was how scared I was. I was actually amazed that who the real serial killer for Amityville Horror was based on was nothing like the movies, so that was interesting. The only downside for it, why it hasn't got any higher notes, was it's non-fiction and not my favourite genre, so it always does knock down a rate for me. Also, the author Christopher is very big-headed and self-centered. He will go on about something and then he will say, oh, to hear more about it, please go and read my book, blah, blah, blah. So he literally starts talking about this really in depth and then he stops and then he big-heads himself. And it's not just happened once or twice in the book. It's literally throughout every chapter. And I don't like it. It's just like, come on, mate. We don't care about your books. We're reading one of your books. We want to hear about what this book is about. So yeah. Nah, mate, don't do it again. I then was kindly gifted an art copy of My Kind of Love. It is now out. It came out on the 21st of January. It is about two people meeting and having a well relationship like for a couple of weeks, and then they both separate ways, but obviously they interline. So it is a lovely, nice, romantic book. It's very steamy. I love the talks about loss, and this was also about army life and everything. I really could go into how brilliant this book is, but unfortunately there is a lot of spoilers, and I have done a very in-depth review about this book and how amazing it is. But I will say, if you do read that on my Bookstagram, be prepared, there are spoilers ahead, more so in my comments than actually my main post. But yeah, I really recommend, if you are a romance, steamy kind of person, read this. Nikki is a really wonderful woman. She's very friendly if you want to talk to her about things. And I am slowly starting to read some of her other books because they are really good. This is actually also going to be a trilogy as well. So this is the first book. I then read An Ember of Ashes. Oh my god, 5 stars, brilliant. I can see the craze and why people love this book. I really want to read the other books now, but I'm on a book buying ban, so I put them on my wish list in hopes that maybe somebody might gift me the second book. You know, hint hint, if anyone wants to buy me the second book, please. But yeah, this is brilliant. It's based on Leia and Elias. Leia, becomes a slave. Elias is a soldier, and neither of them are free, so they're fighting to try and get out of their predicaments. They obviously meet. There's like a massive epic battle. It is fantastic. I get why there is a massive big hype for it. Leia is an amazing character. Like, the growth and the journey she went on in this book, I love, and she's one of those female characters that I'm like, yes. Then this was my buddy read with Hannah, The Thursday Murder Club. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't finished it. I reached to page 125, chapter 34, and I've had to stop. I'm not saying I'm DNFing it, but for this particular moment I don't want to finish reading it. I feel it's a bit slow. I feel there's not a lot of crime going on at the minute. I do like the characters, they're funny and I do love them, but just at the minute I feel it's a bit slow and bland, and I haven't been wanting to pick it up, so I've decided I'm not going to continue reading this. I'm going to put it away back on my shelves and then go back and finish it sometime this year. So I'm not DNFing it. I am going to sort of class this as being read because I have read quite a few pages, and I'm going to sort of do a mini review on what I have, my thoughts of it so far, but I will finish this later on down the year. Then I've got this, Your Neighbour's Wife. This is 5 stars. This is part of Tandem Collector's read along. I didn't realise I had been accepted to do this, hence why it wasn't on my original TBR list. 5 stars, epic thriller, loved it to the point I want to read more Tony Parson books. It's amazing. I was hooked from the start. To be honest, if it wasn't a read along and we didn't have prompts, I would have read this in one go, but it was a read along. We had prompts and I did want to obviously not pace it so fast and spoil it for others, but it was brilliant. I did guess who the killer was, but that didn't spoil it for me because there were so many twists and turns in this book that I was absolutely shocked and amazed. Honestly, if you're a crime thriller fan, I really recommend you reading this and picking it up. It's an epic book. It's epic, honestly. I love it, and it's definitely going to be a book that I'm going to keep and reread again. And lastly, this is another Tandem Collective read along, The Evolution. This is a reread for me. That's why I'm adding this on my pile, because I have already read it. I know what happens. I just wanted to join in with the prompts because it's quite nice to really think properly about the plot and why things are happening in this book. So this is going to be 5 stars. I rated it 5 stars when I first read it, although this was before my Bookstagram happened, I think. I'm not sure. It might be on there already. But so it is a read. I'm enjoying it. I am halfway through it. I'm not going to lie. I'm sort of skimming through it because I do know what happened. I read the first couple of chapters and then it came to me exactly what happened. So I wouldn't say I'm fully reading it. I am more skimming through because I do know what happens. It's just really hard as well answering my prompts because obviously I know what happens. I know what happens with all these characters, so I don't want to spoil it for others. But it's just really fun to just talk about this book with other people who haven't read it yet. And I do love Giovanna and Tom Fletcher. I think their books are amazing. So yeah, that is my January wrap up. I had a good month. There was a lot of mixture of ranks in there, which is good because sometimes I do have months where they're 4 and 5 stars and everyone's like, really? But yeah, so that is my wrap up. My February TBR video will be up the following day from when this video comes up. I'm really excited for February. There are some amazing books. You can actually see them here. But yes, if you've read any of these books, please drop a comment and tell me what you thought of them. If you want to read these books and want to know more about it, again, message me and let me know. If you like this video, please press like, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, take care, and have a lovely new February month. It's a shorter month, hopefully it's going to be a bit warmer. But yeah, take care of yourselves everyone. I'll see you again soon. Bye!